Hello students, welcome to this series on marketing and retail business. Today we are going to study retail management. In this we will cover unit 2. We will study retail strategy, the definition, importance and future of retail. Now let us study the objective of the study. The basic objective is to build a concept and definition of retail strategy, to find the importance of retail strategy and to see the future of retail. Now, this lecture would basically focus on the importance of the strategy and how strategy will change to its strategic form to build the future of retail industry. Now, let us study the market factors impacting the retail strategy. The basic market factors impacting the retail strategy relate to the size, that is the market size, competitive factors, growth in business cycle and seasonality. Now, when we talk about retail industry, it is important to develop a strategy which basically is based on the market factors, based on the competitor strength and also on the business cycle, that is whether the business cycle is in the boom or in the recession, and the seasonality, like when you are taking the product in the market. Seasonality is basically the peak season, maybe it is the winter wear or it is the summer wear or it is the time when the crops are coming into the market, or what is the kind of the business season where you want to position your product. Now, let us study the competitive factors. The competitive factors basically relate to competitive rivalry, the bargaining powers of the suppliers and the barrier to new entrants. Now, competition in the market is intense and anybody's strategy would basically be based on what competitors are doing, because you basically have to decide your prices and your strategy and your strategic mix according to the availability of the competitors. If there are less competitors, the products can be sold at good prices, but if the competition is more, the margins have to be reduced, otherwise you are not able to stand in the market. Now, what is the competitive library is how many people are there in the market, then it is the power of the suppliers, that from where you are sourcing the goods, what is their bargaining power, what is the cost they can minimize, and how complex the industry is for new entrants. That is, if it is a very easy industry, people can enter and start their products the next day, but if it is a complex and a knowledge based industry, it requires lot of intense training and strength of research to enter the market. Now, let us study the retail marketing mix. The essential elements may include the store location, merchandise assortments, store ambience, customer service, price and communication with the customers. Now, when you have studied the market factors, the competitive strength, then you have to focus on your strategic inputs of your basic elements of the marketing mix, which would relate to the price, product and promotion. Now, when you open your store, it is important what is your location, because the location basically decides the number of people, or it is the people who want to come to your store, that is the footfall or the strength of the market. The merchandise assortment is the variety of products you are able to store. The ambience is the environment which you are able to give to the customers. Customer service is the attention and the kind of the comfort which you are able to give to the customers. Price is the kind of the promotion and the discount which you are able to offer. Communication with the customer is how easy for you it is to communicate and track the complaint of the customers in a sorted way. Then let us study the marketing mix. The retail marketing mix basically involves a focus on personal selling, the store image, the store design, sales incentives, people, processes and the physical evidence. Now, let us study them in detail. What is personal selling is basically a kind of a person who is an expert in the market, who would negotiate with big customers to sell things in a proper way. He would demonstrate the product, he would explain the product and would crystallize the sales in an easy way. The store image is the kind of the credibility which you carry to the customers in form of the honesty and the trusted services you give. That is, whatever you are taking money or charging money, the quality and the originality of the products has to be true. If you are selling fake products and you are not giving the right quality, obviously the customers would lose faith and will not enter your shop. Store design is the easy design which will allow customers to do a easy parking and easy connection and easy bill paying. The sales incentives is how much you are able to offer to your employees when they sell the products to the customers, that is what incentives they get and the commissions they get. People is basically the trained salespeople and the coordinators and the managers who generally manage the organization. Process is how the customers enters, what are the relations maintained, what is the work done on satisfaction, and how easy it is for customers to pay bill and get out of the store. Physical evidence is you offer the physical credibility of the product by showing them, by giving them demonstration, and by building a faith and a trust through the product display. Now, let us study the marketing mix planning. The mix planning basically is a retail strategy which is the vehicle through which the retailer builds a marketing strategy and implements in the market. The mix must be consistent with the expectations of the target customers. The elements must be consistent with each other to create synergy. The mix must be responsive to competitive strategy. Now, when you do a kind of a planning for strategy, it is essential that you build in accordance with the target customers. Who are the target customers? It is the group of customers to whom your product is focused on basis of price and demographics. After you decide the segment is, you basically have to relate to their needs and their problems and their issues. You have to synergize the resources where easy response to the customers is given at the lowest possible cost. Now, let us study the composition of key elements. The basic key elements of the strategic mix include the place, product, price, promotion, people, process and physical environment. Now, these P's are important because they are the basic inputs to build a retail strategy. The retail industry will not work if the retail store is not located at the right place. That is, you have to sit in the market to connect with the customers and even with the suppliers. The product has to be right, that is, you cannot sell cars in a textile market or you cannot sell shoes in markets where industrial goods are sold. So, you have to see what kind of product you are offering in a market which is connected to the customers. Price has to be reasonably and budget oriented. The promotion has to be intense and connect to the customers. The people need to be trained and the process need to be streamlined with the environment which is trustworthy, which is conducive and which is important for customers to have a kind of a relationship which is positive and friendly. Then let us study the key elements of the place store location. That is, we are studying each element in detail. What is place related? Place is related to the target market, channel structure, channel management, retailer's image, retail logistics and retail distribution. Now, when you decide a strategy on the basis of place, you have to decide a location where you basically connect with the target customers. That is, if you have to connect to the local customers, you need a marketplace which is in the local city area. If you are able to connect with elite urban people, then you have to see the urban locations which may be in outskirts or little far. But then you have to see how your channel structure is managed so that the goods arrive in an easy way and the channel management involves little cost. The retailer's image is built on the basis of the trust and the honesty. The logistics relate to the kind of the transportation and the kind of the cost involved to bring goods to the store, and the distribution is how the goods move from the manufacturers to dealers to the retailers. What is your negotiation power and how it is easy for you to get supply within easy places. Now, let us study the key elements of product merchandise. Product merchandise basically involves product development, product management, product features and benefits, branding, packaging and after sales services. Now, when we study the product part of the retail strategy, though the product is manufactured by the manufacturers, but the retailers need to understand the technical aspects of the product so that they can explain it to the customers. The demonstration is important, that is what is the warranty, what is the kind of the process by which product can be operated. So, product management is not only how easy the products are manufactured in the market, but how the products are managed at a cost which is generally lower in terms of transportation and in terms of promotion, and they come to the retailer store. The product and features and benefits should be displayed through the demonstration, that is the live demonstrations, or through the recorded demonstration. The branding is important because when you do a branding for the product, is your store also gets the advantage of cultivating a relationship with the customers. Packaging, that the products need to be packaged in such a way that they are not mishandled or broken, and they reach in the right shape and size to the customers. The after sale services, if any technical problem is there, the replacement and the updation of the product needs to be there, because the after sale services are important to connect with a customer in an easy way and to handle his problems when products do not work. Now, let us study the key elements of the price. The key elements of the price basically involve the cost, the value for the money, the incentives, the profitability, the competitiveness, quality and status. Now, price is related to many parameters. Price is not only a concept for the customers, it is the value for the money which is invested. What is the benefit he is getting as a return for the investment, that is how much money he has invested and what is the kind of the return in terms of utilities, facilities and in terms of comfort which he gets from the product. The profitability is important for the retailers, because if you are not in profits, you cannot serve the customers. The profitability, if it is high, it can be shared to give valuable services to the customers. The competitiveness is the competitors' product are also important. So, you need to build a competitive edge which is superior to your competitors, and the product is demanded in the market. The quality basically relates to the parameters of the viability of the product in terms of its assurance given to the customers. The status is that the product need to be associated with good values and ethical practices of the market to build status for the customers. We do not want to buy products which generally put pressure on the environment, give negative returns to the social values, or which harm the environment. So, even the customers are conscious that their status of being honest is intact, because our reputation and branding, that is the personal branding, is also dependent on the type of the products which we are using in the market. Now, let us study the key element of the promotion. The promotion basically involves developing promotion mix, the sales promotion, the public relations, the advertising management, the sales management and direct marketing. Now, the promotion basically involves how the product is promoted in terms of offering incentives, or how the awareness is created for the customers so that they can buy the product. The sales promotion is basically the incentives offered to the employees that they can push the product to the market. Public relations is basically positive public relations created through media and press, that is they need to speak positive about the product. The sales management is to manage the team so that they cultivate trusted relations with the customers. Direct marketing is companies directly negotiating with the customers and talking about the products through social media. Now, let us study the key elements of people. People basically involve the staff capability, the efficiency, the availability, the effectiveness, the customer interaction and the internal marketing. Staff capability is that when you recruit people in retail industry, they need to be capable of selling products in the market. They must have the efficiency to manage the products by making the product available to the customers at a cost which is reasonable. The customer interaction needs to be positive in terms to respect the customers and solve their problems. The internal marketing is that if you can keep your staff happy, as you can keep your customers happy. If your staff is not happy and if it is harassed, he will pass the harassment to the customers. Now, let us study the key element of the process. The key elements of the process mix basically involve order processing, database management, queuing system, standardizing and service delivery. Now, what is the process which you manage in the store to keep your inventory in such a way that the right product at right place and right price is offered to the customers? The order processing needs to be done in an easy way where the customer places the order through the online system or through the physical verbal instructions or through the messages. The data has to be managed in such a way that each day it has to be updated, it has to be tracked, and when the delivery is made to the customer, the information should be there, because otherwise the customer will miss the message and would miss the delivery. The queuing system is the customers who pay the bills fast or who give you money fast, they need to be served faster than the customers who buy products on credit basis. The standardization of a process has to be built in such a way that placing the order, paying the money and delivering the products to the customers is done in a standard and in a creative way, so that there are less complaints, there is less mishandling and less brokerage which harasses the customers to repeat the process, because maybe the company is giving the product availability, but if you have more complaints, that means the customer basically will be harassed and may one time leave your store. Now let us study the retail market planning. Retail marketing planning basically consists of the setting objectives for the store organization. It is a systematic way of identifying a range of options, the formulation of plans for achieving goals and a logical sequence of retailing activities. Now, when we do a marketing planning, the store basically has to decide the objective, that what is the basis on which we are working, that is you are focusing on high turnovers or you are focusing only on profitability of selling less products to rich people. So, both can work in market, but then you have to decide what is your objective. It is a systematic way of identifying what range you will offer, what is the plan you will follow and how you will logically sequence all the activities, so that the arrival day and the dispatch date of the product to your store is crystallized in a minimum length of time that will minimize your cost, and that would systemize the whole process of mishandling of products in the total process. If a product is delivered today to your store and you are able to sell it after 1 year or 2 years, then it becomes difficult for the store organizations to handle the product for so long. So, it is better when you get the orders is you make a preparation, after making the preparation you get the delivery and then the dispatch becomes easy. Now, let us study the importance of retail marketing planning. The hostile and complex retail marketing environment basically is impacted by the external and the internal retail organization factors like maximizing revenue, maximizing profits, maximizing return on investment and minimizing cost. Each element has conflicting needs and all these variables interact. What is the hostile and the complex environment of the retail environment is, when you try to maximize the profits, obviously the cost for the customer will increase. You have to synchronize the variables in such a way that to enhance the variables is you do not have to dissatisfy the customers. You have to minimize the cost for the customers, satisfy the customers and increase your profitability, and that can be done only by one way, is that if you increase your turnovers, then even lower margins can work in the market, because the collection is higher. If the collection is higher, lot of other problems can be sorted out, because this cash can give you an easy cushion to foster solutions which are viable in the market. But if the collection is less, it is difficult to manage the problems, because without money even easy things cannot be solved. Now, let us see the managerial use. It is to help and identify the source of competitive advantage, to force an organized retail approach, to develop a specific area of retail activities, to ensure consistent relationship between retail organizations and its proximate environment, and to inform customers, suppliers and competitors. The managerial use of the retail strategy would basically involve a focus on standardizing the retail activities, is where the retail organizations are working. If they are connected to the other organization, their relations with the neighbors is important. their information given to the customers is important. Now, if you are working in mall, it is a different concept because the centralized management system is there to look after the supplies of electricity, water and other aspects. But if you are a single retail organization in market, you need to come into a common database management system so as to organize the outer facilities of parking and outer facilities of paying the bills for cleaning and sustaining a environment where the customer does not faces problems to reach to your store. Now, let us study the approaches to planning. First is the top down approach. The retail management sets goals and plans for all levels of management. Bottom up approach, and the various units prepare their own goals and plans sent up for approval. What is top down approach is the management decides and basically dissipates the plan to the organizations, that is the lower level, they are obviously following the instructions of the top management. Here you can do little because you have a kind of a set plan which you have to implement and operate. The retail management basically sets the individual goals and tries to crystallize by managing their little environment. Bottom approach is what the employees feel according to the observations of the customers. They can give the suggestions, this can pass up to the top management, and according to the feedbacks of the retail staff, the filling and the positioning and the promotion of the product can be done that way. Sometime it becomes important that the retail units prepare their own goals and try to fulfill their activities so that they can systematically order their things and can manage their entire process in a easy way according to the customer's demand. The strategic retail planning basically involves a process of developing and maintaining a strategic fit between the retail organization's capability and its changing marketing opportunities. Now, the retail organizations have become very big organizations, like you have Pantaloon, you have Walmart, you have very big organizations which are not only retail shops, but they have become so big that they have become a power in market. They are bigger than the economies of the world, and they are operating at such large level that they have to work in an environment which is fast changing. These organizations have large options to connect with the customers because they have the advantage of ownership and they have the advantage of managing a supply chain which is very systematic and giving them cost in an effective way. So, the customers basically get the products at an easy price. These organizations also have to rebuild their opportunities as the market changes. Now, the physical locations which are very well available with the Walmart, they are a kind of a boon and they are a kind of advantage to the these stores, but still they also have to connect to the online market segment because the markets are changing where the customers need the ease of connecting with the options through their technology. So, even they have to reboot and rebuild their strategy to give the changing options to the customers. Now, let us study the strategic retail planning. It relies on developing a clear corporate mission, supporting objectives, creating a sound business portfolio and coordinating with the functional strategy. That is, when you do a kind of a retail strategy based on the planning, it needs to have a mission which has to be supported by the kind of the evidences and objectives where the portfolios are profitable, and these functional strategies of each segment would help the organization to sustain in this fast changing competition. The corporate level planning basically involves to design the retail organization to withstand the shocks, adapt the organization to take advantage of the market opportunities and define the corporate mission in an accurate way. Now, when you work in the market, it is not always easy. The shocks are there because the depression is also there in the market. The advanced market changes because the substitutes enter into the market, making their already existing products outdated. So, you must have a planning in such a way that your strategy is updated by the external environmental changes, where a preparation has to be done on the basis of the research and on the basis of the opportunities related to the customers. The country and the political decisions also impact the strategy in terms to absorb the political risks, the government rules, the attitudes and incentives. the location of the markets, the availability of supplies, communications and energy, cultural and economical issues, the labor, talent, attitude, productivity, cost, exchange rate and currency risk. So, your strategy is not only planning and only looking to your store location and your image, your strategy also depends on the kind of the country in which you are located, because now we are in a liberalized world. The global locations are changing faster. You are residing in a local market, and if the competitors have crossed the local borders, they have a larger market and a larger base to do business. The political risk, the country, the culture, the location, the availability of resources, talent, money, the foreign direct investment and the kind of your negotiation and your relations also impact the strategy. The exchange rate and the currency risk is also important in the market, because the forex is changing in a very easy way, because the foreign exchange is not only impacted by the money market, but it is also impacted by the political integration and the disintegration happening in the world. Like relations do happen and relations do change. The recent impact which impacted the currency of UK, that dollar was depreciated, was the um, reason because the European Council was disintegrated and the locations of the countries basically remained same, but still the mechanisms of the markets changed, because London wanted to be independent and did not want to carry the collaboration with the other countries. So, these political happenings and this integration and disintegration of economies, basically maybe in an abstract way in terms of rules and regulations, also impacts the strategy in a big way. Now, let us study the summary of this lecture. In this lecture, we have studied the retail strategy, the importance in the future. The retail strategy is basically dependent on the planning and the mix, that is the marketing mix elements of price, place, promotion. We have studied in detail. Then obviously, the opportunities which are changing in the market, we are moving towards online options and technology is impacting the product systemization in a big way. So, all this impact needs to be studied. The students need to understand that how retail strategy can be formulated through effective planning. Thank you, students.